Uh, Thank you, Mark, again for having us here. Thank you very much to all of you for bringing yourselves today to this very interesting subject. And to us, it's a great honor to be presenting in the Zero Touch Congress because, as was said this morning, we just started some activity around that. Well, actually, we always say we, ETSI, we did. Well, actually, you did come to us and decided that we help you start this activity. And I think that's a little bit what I want to tell you today, a little bit about us, because, by the way, we are celebrating our 30th anniversary this year, so we are on an important celebration, which we invite all you to join us. We actually are the place that provides you with the tools, with the platforms, with what you need to do what's needed. We've been hearing this morning a lot about we need fast deployments, we need not to be locked into a specific vendor solution, we need standards. We were talking about open source, but maybe I'll hint a little bit how open source and standards are getting very, very close. We heard about many of you coming together to work in OSM, which I'm very happy about, being that one of our great initiatives, or your great initiatives with us to go to get the standards closer to the open source community, and why not ZTA. But let's concentrate a little bit. Let's put focus on ZTA because, in fact, I'd like to start from the beginning. How did this ZTA started? We've heard a lot that automation comes from a long time ago. This is nothing new. This has been a request from operators from the industry for a very long time, but probably doesn't or hasn't come with a very strong push. And all of a sudden, we see that we originate an IG, an industry specification group, and you actually came very strong to try and develop something. And in fact, I think this new buzz system, this 5G thing, triggered a little bit all the need for ZTA. And we saw in Juan Carlos' presentation this morning how close to deployment was 5G with the need of automation on the support systems. So indeed, everybody out there now is talking about 5G, and of course, let's make it a little bit more concrete, because what does 5G offer? And probably you've seen the slide zillions of times, which is a very nice slide because it says basically summary. Whatever you ask, 5G will provide you with. And I remember, it's not so long ago, but also some time ago, when we were talking about 3G, UMTS at the time, we were saying, whatever you want, 3G will provide you with. Of course, what we require becomes, as soon as you have something, new requirements come to your mind and you want something else. And that's why we progress, that's why we evolve, that's why we have 5G here. And you will see that it's quite challenging because we're saying, well, of course, today we have great broadband, but you know what? It's not enough. How do I have my videos running or streaming fast enough? But more than that, because yes, that's more of the same thing. How am I able to connect these zillions of little sensors all spread across, because everything will become digital and everything will become or will be connected. And I need a network to support that. And 5G should do that. And more than that, how do I ensure that when I get a command, things happen instantly? 10 milliseconds is way too much. If two cars are crossing, 10 milliseconds is not enough to make one car brake before the other passes through. So how do I get this very low latency? And all of this is coming together. And of course, you who are the implementers will say, well, is that actually possible? And if we would have to develop all that, how would we do it? And then, of course, someone came with what's going on, because it's very difficult that we get everything at the same time being served. And someone said, well, in fact, depending on the service, because I think Peter was saying it, the customer doesn't want everything, doesn't want the full package for everything that I need to deploy. My specific need is very special. I need whatever I need to be configured for what I need, and not because I'm not ambitious, it's because I don't want to pay for it. I don't want to pay for what I don't need. And therefore, how is it that I can ensure that I am delivering what I need, when I need, how I need it? And then this concept of, okay, let's build a little slice, a little network that will serve certain purposes, and then I will have as many little networks, as many slices as customers. Well, maybe that's a little bit overstretched, but who knows? So at the end of the day, and Juan Carlos was saying it, this means a totally different approach to the way in which we were seeing networks. And that's why some time ago, someone was thinking about, or was applying the famous NFV, which is key to this network slicing concept. And in fact, when we started talking about NFV in ETSI, I remember operators coming with some other different requirement, which was, well, how do I get my costs down in service and operation, and of course in CapEx, and then how am I able to go quicker to market? It was said, well, how am I able to deliver the services quick and withdraw them and drive a new service quick? And the only way of doing that was basically transforming our networks more to the software-based architecture. And that's been moving all throughout. And yes, every time you see, you come with a solution, some new challenges appear in front of us. We have great ideas, but then, yes, more flexible, a lot more business models, higher income. You have standard hardware on the one side and more value that is building up on software. You can lower the costs, that's great, but then there are some new interesting challenges that are coming in front of us. One is security, and I won't speak about security, but I think we are hearing day after day after day all these security challenges every time we think of software. It was some questions and answers here about SLAs, how do we handle SLAs. A very interesting one that pops up event after event, congress after congress. What about coexistence with legacy? Because you don't just on a wink change everything from the old thing to the new thing, and of course everything you scrap out, and great, now we have our new network, we're going to do excellent. So how do you go from one to the other? How do you migrate everything? And basically, well, all these slices, all these different virtual functions, all the resources that now will have to be addressed by the different software pieces, how do we manage the whole complexity? Again, and it's you that have come to ETSI with a couple of ideas. And a couple of ideas that you say, well, on one is how do I improve the operator experience? How do I make the network react quicker? The other, how can I manage all this complexity? How can I automate this management? And there you came with a couple of groups in ETSI. One is this experiential networked intelligence, and I'll speak a few words about it. And then, of course, zero-touch service and network and services management. On the first one, basically, you have hardware resources, you will have to deal with them. How are you able to anticipate the requirements and the needs of your network at a given point in time in a given geography? How can this network learn and react in time, and how can this be done automatically? That's what this little group is trying to achieve. There's a lot about how to use artificial intelligence as a tool to solve this kind of problems. Don't tell me to tell you or explain to you how this works. I could be absolutely incapable. Again, I get the room, I get the atmosphere, I get the coffees, and you do the work. So I'm expecting that throughout these sessions, people will come to talk about this, because I've seen there are some sessions devoted to E&I, and I believe will be quite interesting to learn from the real experts on the subject. The second part, it's been, of course, zero-touch network and service management. Juan Carlos has talked extensively about this already. It's, again, we have all these slices, we have all this complexity, because there will be as well some other actors in this huge ecosystem working with us. So how do we facilitate that network management and all the cycle from provisioning to service delivery and so on and so forth is as automated as possible? And again, it's about making the network a little bit more reactive on its own. How do you do it? I'm here to learn, as you are, or some of you are. The experts will be around, and I expect to hear a lot of this. You've heard that the number of people interested and coming to work in this industry specification group is huge, because, again, we need standards. We've been listening how important it is that we have standardized solutions. So we heard today it's 50 companies already participated on this. And if any of you around in the room are still not, I suggest that you take a look at it and join the crowd. Because, again, we must be serving very good coffee, as people keep on coming to ETSI to do these things, but maybe it's a little bit more than that. Again, what we are providing you to be able to do the standards is that the basic rules are protecting you and your investment and your know-how. So at the end of the day, you have, or there is certain credibility of what comes out of this collaborative work that will help whatever we standardize see the market. And that's what you need, and that's why you come here. It's transparent and open. People might challenge that. I could say I don't know many other activities that are as open and transparent as the one you develop with us. And we've been talking about teamwork. I liked very much Juan Carlos' slide about what we are and how we have to be. And basically, I was happy because in ETSI we were taking, all the requests on the right-hand side of that slide, which is very good. And it's great that you are coming and joining this part of the crew. And this without forgetting about quality. Whatever we deliver need to be solid enough so that you can make business out of it. Someone said, well, 10 hours out of service. well, 10 seconds out of service. This is very important in everything we develop, in everything we focus on, in everything we do. Let me try to talk a little bit about time to market, because we are usually blamed of, standards, this old-fashioned, old, it's always associated to something slow, heavy. Well, not really. And in fact, you're talking about your networks. It's like if the community will say, oh, networks, old-fashioned, old, whatever, slow, moving. Every one of us is evolving. Every one of us is moving fast. Standards move very fast, move as fast as you want them to move. And it's proving. And on things that we have seen, like NFV, is growing exponentially. We were talking about OSM, which again, it's something we started in ETSI, so it's an ETSI group. It's moving extremely fast, and already you're seeing the developments of what's happening there. And what's more important, we said we need cooperation. Indeed we do, because we know we are not alone in this field. We know we have to work together, not only within the many different little ETSI groups, and there are many, I can tell you. I've talked about ENI and ZSM. Of course, both will cooperate, and there are links established that will help them grow together. But moreover, someone was speaking about ONAP. We will see how standards help implementers, and implementers can be the open source communities, can be proprietary implementations, no matter what. At the end of the day, what you need is solutions that work in your own environment to your own businesses, and that are not, or don't lock you in to a vendor or to an open source community. Why should you want to be locked onto a specific solution? What standards provide you is the anchor that will help you have interoperable implementations. That's what you're looking for. And that's a kind of warranty to yourselves. And that's why I guess you keep on coming to move forward, push working on standards. Of course, you'll always find us here as ETSI to help you do that. And that's why we keep on doing things internally. We will keep on trying to see how ETSI can better approach and benefit from the learnings of the open source community, and that's why we started an open source group, and that's why you have some other specific open source projects working in ETSI, but that's as well why we cooperate with these open source communities and try and see how we can better leverage from each other. Having said that, please to come to see us. You will have many experts today talking about ZSM, talking about ENI, technical questions to them, administrative questions or bureaucratic questions on how you get engaged and what's going on in ETSI that's really interesting to all your businesses. Please come and see me. I'll be around for a couple of days already. So thank you very much. Mark, I think it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Luis. Maybe if there is any questions, we can take one or two questions. No, I always like to know what's coming next. Open Source Mano is a very well-known open source project. I think, not to get into the numbers game, I think somebody mentioned 95 or maybe even 100, and getting towards 100 members, which is great. What other open source projects can we look forward to?
Well, there are a couple of them already running. One is around security, where we are creating a platform that will enable some of our security guys to test security solutions to that. So it's been developed at that very moment. The second one is developing test tools for our standards. You know that one of the important things we do when we develop standards is trying to do interoperability and conformance testing, so that we are sure that the standard is properly written, but those who have implemented are sure that what they have implemented conform to the standard and work with other implementations. So basically having some open source that help develop these tools that enable those tests is something we're going on. If you could look forward, I'm hearing that there are some other subjects going around security. Security, I think it's one of the big issues that we will be facing we're already facing, and a lot will be happening there.
All right, great. I think we shall draw a line there. Thank you again, Luis. Thank you.